Well, good afternoon. Welcome to Vanderbilt University. For those of you for whom this is the first time, it's great to see so many familiar faces, but it's also wonderful to see so many of you here from faraway places. We're proud to host this important event, and particularly we're delighted that this nationwide series of conversations is starting right here in Tennessee. For those of you who are indeed visiting, I think it will quickly become clear why this is exactly the right place to launch discussions about our country's future competitiveness. As a leading research university, Vanderbilt has innovation at the heart of its mission. And that innovation is uniquely shaped by one of our core values, radical collaboration. That's how we call it here. Radical collaboration requires faculty, researchers, and students to work together across disciplines, schools, and subject areas. It also calls us to reach out across sectors to work with other colleges and universities, government agencies, research laboratories, military bases. We have a wonderful collaboration with Fort Campbell, just like an hour and 15 minutes up north, private sector firms, and more. This collaborative work on our campus and throughout the state is not only driving important innovation, it's also positioning our state to lead. Over the next 2 days, you'll hear about groundbreaking, potentially world-changing mobility research Vanderbilt has taken on with Nissan, University of Tennessee, the state of Tennessee, and many others, and how a partnership with Bridgestone is advancing sustainable mobility. You'll hear about a collaboration with Oak Ridge National Laboratory that will enable a Vanderbilt startup to utilize the laboratory's capabilities, and about how Vanderbilt and the University of Tennessee, Knoxville are partnering with Launch Tennessee to attract and support startups and help smaller institutions with the challenges, and they can be profound, of technology transfer. You'll hear Vanderbilt Vice Provost for Research and Innovation, Padma Raghavan, talk about her work with the Tennessee Nuclear Energy Advisory Council and the Council's work positioning Tennessee as a leader in advancing nuclear technology. And you will hear a resounding innovation, an invitation to work even more closely and strategically together across sectors and across disciplines, even more of this radical collaboration at work. At Vanderbilt, we are a globally focused research university, and we often talk about bringing the world to Vanderbilt and bringing Vanderbilt to the world. But we never forget that for us, that world starts right here in Nashville in our great state of Tennessee. We're proudly rooted here and profoundly committed to doing our part to foster a Tennessee innovation economy that builds on our significant strength and collectively addresses the challenges in our own way. As this conversation series will surely demonstrate, this is what it's going to take. More innovation in every state of our nation, drawing about what each one of us does well to ensure that states like ours aren't just using the latest technologies, but producing them for the world to create more inclusive prosperity nationwide and to ensure not only U.S. competitiveness, but also our national security. As we saw so vividly here during our Vanderbilt Summit on modern conflict and emerging threats just a week ago. Whether you're in government, private business, academia, or the nonprofit sector, we are all in this together. Our collective future hinges on our capacity to work together and make the most of the opportunities right before us. These opportunities are substantial. Our region is bursting with momentum and possibility, and the question is not whether our state will grow and evolve, but how. and how best to leverage, harness, and replicate that growth for the good of Tennessee, for the country, and the world. We are so proud to be working with many of you in this room on specific initiatives and on the broader efforts to expand Tennessee's innovation ecosystem. I'm grateful to serve along Chancellor Plowman on the Council on Competitiveness, National Commission on Innovation and Competitiveness Frontiers, and I'm so appreciative of the leadership that Deborah Wince-Smith has brought to this work. So I look forward to the new ideas and initiatives that will emerge over the next 2 days. So thank you all again for being here, and welcome again to Vanderbilt. Now, I want to say one more thing before you hear from Chancellor Plowman. We are often fierce rivals on the gridiron, the baseball field, and the basketball court, but we are in this together. Thank you, Donde, for being my partner on that. Thank you.
So here's what you probably don't know about what chancellors do. Daniel and I are on a call at least every week, sometimes twice a week, to talk about athletics. In particular, the Southeastern Conference, which is, I'm sorry, to those of you that aren't part of it, is the best conference in the country. But I was thinking today about, Daniel, what a joy it is for you and I to spend 2 days together not talking about that. Don't you agree? Yeah. And we are fierce competitors, but we're fiercer friends and colleagues. So thank you. I want to reiterate the welcome. Thank you for being here today. I'm super excited about the conversations that we're going to have today and tomorrow about the innovation that's already happening here in Tennessee and how we can grow that momentum. When somebody asked me, why did the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, Donde, why did you become a member of the Council on Competitiveness? My answer is really simple. I love the phrase radical collaboration. That is so good, I want to steal it. Good job, Daniel. But I believe that solving the challenges facing our country will only be solved by working together. And higher education plays a huge role in that, but we can't be that impactful without connecting with each of you that are here in this room. The Competitiveness Council is convening some of the brightest minds in science, education, industry, government, policy, and more. It's an initiative this year, assembling groups around the country to think about how do we push our economy and our global competitiveness going forward. The way we say it at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, we are very proud to be the flagship land-grant Research One university. We're focused on how do we make life and lives better in Tennessee and beyond. I've always said if we're doing that for Tennesseans, we're doing it for the world. And that's what we're going to be talking about here today, is how can we make life and lives better everywhere. So when the council asked for volunteers to host the first round of these regional summits, the truth is Daniel volunteered first, but I was right with him when he said, hey, Donde, why don't we do this together? You know, the truth is you're in the volunteer state, so that's what we do. At the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, we take that seriously. We are volunteers. We constantly talk about stepping forward with courage to lead, to serve, and light the way for others. And that's what I think can come out of this 2 days together. So we were really thrilled to be able to host here in Nashville, one of the coolest cities in the country, because we know Tennessee has a tremendous story to tell about how to advance innovation, build a knowledge-based economy by leaning into our strengths and being unapologetically ourselves. So over the next 24 hours, you're going to hear from some really smart people, creative leaders about the great partnerships and initiatives already underway in the mobility, energy, and manufacturing sectors. But there's so much more for us to learn and so much more for us to do together. As I look across this room, I just see people that we're collaborating. David, good to see you. People we're collaborating with all over the state. And you know, higher ed hasn't been so good at this in the past. And I'm really proud of where we are, and where we're going is the most exciting part. So I hope you are also going to be inspired and motivated to think about what are the new collaborations, the new radical collaboration that we can build, be proud of, what new ideas can we generate. So thank you all for being here. And in the spirit of Tennessee, sorry, Daniel, go Vols.
Well, good afternoon. On behalf of the Council on Competitiveness, let me also welcome you all to our inaugural Competitiveness Conversation across America here on the campus of Vanderbilt University. And I would like to, on behalf of all the members of the Council, our Board and Executive Committee, to thank you, Chancellor Diermeier and Chancellor Plowman, for your leadership and for co-hosting this all-Tennessee Competitiveness Conversation. We're honored you're members of our National Commission on Innovation and Competitiveness Frontiers. I also want to express the Council's gratitude to the Conversation's incredibly distinguished steering committee, comprised of national and regional leaders from business, government, academia, and our national laboratory enterprise, who've also come to share their knowledge, experiences, and insight in this quest for models to raise U.S. competitiveness by broadening and deepening from coast to coast and everywhere in between the engagement in building the next generation of our nation's innovation economy, and by optimizing our entire society for a future in which our nation's innovation, its innovation capacity, is going to determine our collective future. I also want to recognize two of the distinguished members of the Council on Competitiveness Board of Directors, our Chairman and Chairman Emeritus, Chad Holliday, a native son of Nashville, and Dan Helfrich, our Vice Chair for Business, who's the President of Deloitte Consulting. The Council is nearly 40 years old, and it was the brainchild of a real innovator, a very dynamic CEO at the time, John Young, President and CEO of Hewlett-Packard. And some of you may remember he led President Reagan's National Commission on Industrial Competitiveness. And this was the first ever comprehensive federal review of U.S. competitiveness in the global economy at a time when we were facing tremendous trade and technology competition, in particular from Japan. The Council was born from John's belief that for the nations and its citizens to prosper in the years to come, we needed a nonpartisan, non-governmental leadership organization comprised of corporate CEOs from every sector, joining with university presidents, labor leaders, and eventually our national laboratory directors, all committed to working together to enhance U.S. competitiveness, defined as growing productivity and increasing the standard of living for our citizens, delivering inclusive prosperity, and very importantly, ensuring our global market success in the goods and services produced and created in the United States. So for nearly 4 decades, the Council has assembled leaders from these sectors to do what? Well, we explore the most important competitiveness issues of the day, but very importantly, we understand and identify the challenges emerging on the horizon, and in concert, identify the pathways to greater economic growth, national security, and prosperity through creating actionable policy agendas that can be embraced by our government, by our Congress, and of course, our citizens across the country. So the Council has long been at the cutting edge of articulating why innovation matters and how we must amplify our nation's innovation capacity and capabilities. We launched the world's first efforts to define clusters of innovation in the late 1980s. We created the nation's first innovation summit in 1998, and we built Innovate America, a private sector innovation agenda in 2003 to 5 that would shape national debate and bipartisan legislation for over 2 decades. But 5 years ago, the Council's leaders foresaw new megatrends emerging, transformative and radical forces of change growing and converging on the global economy, namely multiple disruptive technology revolutions all unfolding simultaneously, creating unprecedented opportunities for innovation, economic prosperity, and also profound national security implications, holding solutions to the national and global challenges such as food, energy, water security, climate change, and demographics, all of which propel us to the precipice of profound transformation and a new industrial age already upon us. At the same time, we began to face mounting global competition unlike anything we had ever seen before. The rise of a strategic rival as China seeks to supplant the United States as the world's economic, technology, military, and geopolitical leader. China continues to spread its wings across the globe and in international institutions and new geopolitical alliances, both north and south, aiming to write the rules of the 21st century economy and security in its own state-directed totalitarian model. The Council's leadership believed we were unprepared for the scope and scale of these challenges ahead. And thus, we decided in 2019 to build a clarion call to address these powerful forces and implications for the nation and the world in the creation of the National Commission on Innovation and Competitiveness Frontiers, which today brings together more than 60 C-suite leaders from across industry, academia, national labs, and labor, and other critical stakeholder groups. The Commission, in our first call to action in 2020, Competing in the Next Economy, really characterized the competitive and technology landscape and underscored these new realities that will determine prosperity of all nations, including ours, for the next half century. But very interesting, this was during the first year of the global pandemic, and we observed something very remarkable. One, we can innovate much faster than we ever thought possible. We have many latent innovators in every corner of the country. And we saw the long-predicted digital revolution was fully in force. The pandemic revealed a microcosm of the possible, demonstrating that the innovation, the scaling, and massive transformation can occur on accelerated timetables heretofore inconceivable. And this prompted the Commission to challenge the nation to increase the number and speed of innovations 10 times, and the number of Americans engaged in the innovation system 10 times. So the move toward the 10X economy, we face the most fundamental imperative, and that is we must broaden the geography and deepen the demography of U.S. innovation. Too many communities and people across America are not part of or tightly coupled to the U.S. innovation ecosystem. We are leaving people behind and not fully leveraging our innovation potential that, above all, depends upon our people. Thus, the Commission called for a new national conversation to bring more people and more places into building together our future innovation ecosystems. Beyond the U.S. coast, in regions, Americans are rapidly creating new homegrown approaches to work, to investing in their infrastructure, expanding their innovation footprints and demography, and creating these new centers of innovation and high-tech manufacturing all across the nation. And so today, the Council's Commission is kicking off a 3-year series of competitiveness conversations across America. We will go to these places to listen, to learn, and examine in depth their strategies, their investments, and the engines they are co-creating for their future. And that's why we're here in Tennessee, to learn, replicate, and scale the Tennessee Innovation Engine that all of you at this conference over the next 2 days are co-creating. The federal government is investing billions across the country in microelectronics hubs, hydrogen hubs, technology hubs, regional innovation engines, and there's serious concern over the dual-use security of supply chains for critical technologies and goods that has created new momentum for establishing domestic sources and manufacturing at home for these critical technologies and goods. At the same time, our federal budgets are under pressure and unlikely to reach the hoped-for levels of investment in science and technology, and that's a major challenge. But it is also an opportunity and imperative for greater strategic thinking at non-federal levels and for states and regions as here in Tennessee are coming together to invest, to grow, and build their futures. So as we've heard, we're going to focus today and tomorrow on the future of mobility, energy, and manufacturing. In August, we moved to Boise, Idaho for a conversation around the future of clean energy, including advanced nuclear, microelectronics, and cyber security. In September, we will move to West Lafayette, Indiana, to talk about building innovation ecosystems with chips, qubits, and molecules. And the schedule for 2025 has already set up conversations across America that will take us to Texas and Oklahoma and New Mexico and New England and Colorado, Utah, Pennsylvania, and South Carolina. So let the conversation begin. We're going to start here in Nashville to illuminate these new pathways to productivity and prosperity in places across the country. And to get started, I'm honored to introduce a video message from Senator Marsha Blackburn, the first woman to represent tennis in the United States Senate. Senator Blackburn serves on the Deputy Whip team. She's a member of the Finance Committee, the Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee, the Veterans Committee, and the Judiciary Committee. She serves as the ranking member on the Subcommittee on Consumer Protection, Product Safety, Data Security, and the Subcommittee on Human Rights and the Law. Before her election to the Senate, Senator Blackburn represented Tennessee's 7th Congressional District in the United States House of Representatives, and she also dedicates her public service to promoting opportunities for women and making America a more prosperous place to live. So let's welcome Senator Blackburn and let the conversation begin here in Nashville, Tennessee. Thank you.
I certainly wish I could be with you today because I know that you all are going to have such an invigorating conversation, and I would love to be a part of that conversation. But I do want to say thank you to Vanderbilt and UT, who is co-hosting today, for having this Council on Competitiveness. I'm delighted that you are there in Tennessee. You know, we have proven to be the state where people want to live, to work, to rear their family, great business environment, no state income tax. We have been chosen by so many people as the place to be. And, you know, every time I hear from people about workforce, I can't help but think what a great job we are doing training the workforce. I think you've had more than 36,000 students that have been trained in advanced manufacturing over the last 5 years. And every year, about 150,000 Tennesseans are working in advanced manufacturing. So making certain that we keep this environment right for innovation, for manufacturing, for technology and those applications, that is an important piece of the puzzle. Now, in DC, I'm working on some of those components. My Securing Semiconductor Supply Chain Act is something that would have an impact. What it would do is direct the Department of Commerce to collaborate with the private sector and with state economic development organizations to attract investment into the U.S. in the semiconductor manufacturing and supply chains. As we see a greater use and application of chips and semiconductors, this is something that is vitally important. It would also require the Commerce Department to develop a plan to increase investment and make sure that the U.S. remains a global economic powerhouse. It would reduce our dependence on foreign chip manufacturers. It would invest in our local communities, and it would bring those jobs home. We know we need to bring them home and bring these R&D centers home and bring this innovation back to the United States. I do wish I was there with you today. Please keep up with us, blackburn.senate.gov, and know that we are proud of the innovation that you bring to our state.